If you're an educator, you've probably asked yourself this question. How do I get my students to go beyond just, memorizing facts for the test? Well, today we're going to break down a simple but really powerful 5-step process that's all about fostering true critical thinking in the classroom.
It really all boils down to this one question, doesn't it? Are we teaching our students what to think, or are we teaching them how to think? Because the answer to that pretty much determines whether we're creating parrots who can repeat information or problem solvers who can create it.
You can really think of it as two different paths. On one side, you've got passive learning. That's the classic model, right? The teacher talks, the students listen, and hopefully something sticks. But on the other side, there's active learning. This is where students get their hands dirty, where they're involved, and the teacher is more of a guide. And that second path, that's where the real, deep learning happens.
And let's be clear, the goal here isn't just about getting a better grade. It's about something way bigger, what the source material calls intellectual freedom. It's about giving students the tools to look at the world, question what they see, and actually come up with new ideas that can make their own lives better.
So, how do we actually do that? Well, the great news is that this whole big idea can be boiled down to a simple and really powerful process, and it all revolves around just 5 key steps.
So here it is. This is our roadmap. We start with clear goals, then we teach by asking questions, we get students to practice, and then, and this is key, we create this cycle of reviewing and giving feedback. You'll see, it's not just a checklist, it's a continuous loop of improvement.
All right, so let's dig in. We're going to start by laying the foundation. Steps 1 and 2 are all about setting the stage, really getting things ready for that deep thinking to happen. Step 1 might sound basic, but it is absolutely crucial. It's all about defining your learning objectives. And the big shift here is to stop thinking about what you want students to know, and instead focus on what you want them to be able to do. It's all about action.
And how do we think about those actions? Well, a fantastic tool for this is Bloom's taxonomy. The whole idea is to push students up this ladder, past just remembering and understanding. We want our lessons to get them into those top 3 tiers: analyzing, evaluating, and ultimately creating. That's the zone where critical thinking really comes alive.
Okay, so we've set these higher level goals. Now, how in the world do we get students there? Well, step 2 is all about using our single greatest tool as educators, the question. A really good question is like a lever. It can lift a student's thinking from basic recall to genuine, original analysis. And not all questions are created equal. This is so important. You've got convergent questions, which are great for checking facts. They have one right answer. But then you have divergent questions. These are the ones that open things up. There's no single right answer, and they invite debate and creativity. These are the questions that really push students up that ladder we just talked about. All right, we've got our goals, we've got our questions ready to go. Now it's time for action. Step 3 is where the students get to roll up their sleeves and actually put this stuff into practice. Now, the key here is that active learning doesn't just mean doing a worksheet or being busy. It means engaging in things that make students stop and think about their own thinking. It's that self-awareness that really makes the learning stick. And we're talking about things that are way more interesting than just typical group work. Think about running simulations, having students critique historical documents, keeping journals to reflect on what they're learning, or even forming and defending an original argument. This is like the intellectual gym where they build those critical thinking muscles. So the final part of this whole process is all about creating a continuous loop of improvement. Steps 4 and 5, this is what makes sure that everybody, both the student and the teacher, is constantly learning and getting better.
Step 4 is actually a moment for the teacher to take a breath and reflect. It's not about grading. It's about looking around the classroom and just listening, asking yourself, is this working? What's clicking? What isn't? How can I tweak my approach to help them get it? It's all about being responsive.
And here is an absolutely brilliant, super low-effort tool for doing just that. It's called the 2-minute paper. At the end of a lesson, you just ask your students, quickly write down the single most important thing you learned today. The answers you get are like instant, incredibly valuable feedback on what's actually landing with them.
And that leads us right into step 5. And this is such an important distinction to make. Assessment, a grade, often feels like the end of the road. It's the final verdict. But feedback is a conversation. Its only purpose is to help someone do better next time. And when you do it consistently, you're actually teaching students how to assess their own work down the line. Okay, so we've walked through all 5 steps. But Let's just pull the camera back for a second and look at the big picture. Why does this process actually matter so much? Well, the result is pretty amazing. First, students get way better at understanding how they learn, which makes them more effective in everything they do. And second, and this is huge, they see that their teacher is a real partner in their education, not just someone reading from a script. That connection, that feeling that someone cares, is an incredible motivator. And the ripple effect just keeps going. Students don't just learn biology or history, they learn how to think, a skill they'll use for the rest of their lives. Teachers get to create courses that are way more fun and effective. The whole classroom just transforms into this active, exciting place of discovery. Which brings us right back to where we started. Remember that big goal? Intellectual freedom? This 5-step process, it isn't just a collection of teaching tricks. It's a real pathway to giving students the skills and, just as importantly, the confidence to question the world around them and to build their own understanding. And really, what could be more important than that?